Week 10 had major upsets and, of course, some major busts. Let's talk about that and more in this week's Panic video. Hey, before I get into that, let me remind you, if you haven't tried Underdog Fantasy yet, this is the time because they're going to give all new customers this Josh Allen special on Monday Night Football. He just needs to go higher than half a yard. You pair that with any line or lines you like, and you could potentially 20x your entry. That's right, you can win 20 times your entry. Just go to Underdog Fantasy, use promo code ENDGAME when you sign up, and they're also going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Take that free money, put it on the Josh Allen line, and potentially 20x your entry. Let's start with that Thursday night game, Carolina versus Chicago, and this was not the start to the week we were looking for. This was a pretty ugly game. Bryce Young continues to struggle, and unlike early in the year, it seems like it might finally be catching up to Adam Thielen. Since the team's bye week, he's finished as the wide receiver 24, the wide receiver 42, and he's currently the wide receiver 30 going into Sunday Night Football. Certainly he hasn't killed you, but he sure hasn't looked like the league winner he was early in the year. And it's hard to see him getting back to that in this offense. But he should still at least be startable, and considering you likely got him off waivers, that's fine. And on the Chicago side, it was another letdown game for DJ Moore. We really, at this point, just have to hope Justin Fields is back in Week 11 to save DJ Moore's value. And we went from that terrible game to another terrible game Sunday morning, the Colts versus the Patriots in Germany. Somehow, that game was even worse. 16 combined points. Gross. Mac Jones was awful and even got benched for Bailey Zappi in the end, but come on, no one's starting Mac Jones, right? And there weren't really any major fantasy busts in this game, so let's just move on because I've already given this game more airtime than it deserves. Let's move on to the main slate. Start with Cleveland versus Baltimore. The Ravens continue to find ways to lose games that they should easily win. And hey, look, credit to Deshaun Watson for gutting out and playing through that major ankle injury. We'll see his status going forward. And also, it was kind of lost in this game, but I feel like I should mention the fact that Jerome Ford had 19 touches and 109 yards. This is probably your last chance to buy low. He has an incredible rest of season schedule. And is this also your last chance to buy low on Lamar? Sure, he didn't kill you in fantasy, but this is 3 straight not great games for him. But this was also his last tough matchup until week 16. For the rest of the season, he gets the Bengals, the Chargers, the Rams, the Jaguars, and the Dolphins to finish. That is a great schedule for Lamar Jackson. I don't often say buy low on a QB, but go buy low on Lamar Jackson. Definitely no panic here. And there's also no panic on Mark Andrews either after one down week. 49ers took on Jacksonville, and this did not end up being the shootout I thought it would be because the Jags looked absolute horrible coming out of the bye at home. Has Trevor Lawrence reverted in year 3? Only 9 touchdowns and 4 interceptions this year? It's pretty brutal. And he also has a very tough rest of season schedule. Not sure we can consider him a top 12 QB anymore. Panic has to be high. And with Trevor Lawrence struggling, so did the entire offense. Travis Etienne's run of domination came to an end. But look, everyone has bad games. Definitely no panic here. And if you're wondering if you should be panicking on Calvin Ridley, the answer is no. You just have to accept what he is, a very volatile wide receiver 3. Titans went to Tampa Bay, and okay, look, the Will Levis ride was fun the 1 week he started and no one played him, but it's time to hop off this ride now. Since that first game, he has 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and less than 500 passing yards. And this was a smash matchup against his Bucs secondary missing Carlton Davis. Can you hold him in Dynasty? Sure. Start him in fantasy? No way. And of course, when your QB plays this bad, the rest of the offense will feel it. Hopkins and Henry busted, but again, it's just one game. Though I will say I'm much more worried about Hopkins and Henry since, he's the one more dependent on Will Levis. All right, Green Bay went to Pittsburgh, and look, Jordan Love finally looked like Jordan Love from the early part of the season, though he did also throw 2 interceptions. But look, just because he looked better doesn't mean I'm starting him in 1 QB leagues. And Aaron Jones did not boom in a smash spot, unfortunately, but I'm also not panicking. It happens, and Jones is just one of those volatile running backs, and he'll probably continue to be. On the Steelers side, they somehow continue to look like the worst team on the field and somehow continue to win. But suddenly, is the running game their strength? It certainly looked significantly better since the bye. It looked great here in Week 10. Going back 2 weeks now where both Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris have had nice games. Maybe we got to start taking this run game seriously. And we finally had the first down Deontay Johnson game since he returned from injury. But like I said, it happens. Certainly no panic here. He'll be fine. Saints went to Minnesota, and it looked like Chris Olave was going to be one of the biggest busts of the week, and then Derek Carr got hurt. And suddenly the Saints offense came alive. And while Jameis Winston may not be the best option for the Saints to win games, he certainly looks like the best option for fantasy. Unfortunately, the Saints have a bye in Week 11. We're probably going to see Derek Carr back in Week 12, but at least we got Jameis for a half of football. But did we see the end of the Taysom Hill heater? Only 1 carry? Only 2 catches? Didn't throw a pass? On the week I finally gave in and said to start him more than I have ever said to start him in my entire existence, he busted. Badly. Thankfully, I never have to recommend him again. You want to start him? You do it, but I'm saying no. And I think we've seen enough now from Josh Dobbs to at least feel okay about Justin Jefferson and this passing attack going forward, though we still can't feel great about this rushing attack. Madison did leave this game with a concussion, but he wasn't doing a whole lot before that and was actually being outrushed by Ty Chandler even before he left this game. A guy Pierre mentioned in the Beat the Breakout video, by the way. Whether Madison plays in Week 11 or not, he's kind of what he is. A serviceable, low-end RB2 if you need him. Houston went to Cincinnati for what was probably the most fun and most surprising game of the week. And look, props to the rookie CJ Stroud. He went on the road into Cincy, got the win, and led the team to the game-winning field goal. He is definitely the real deal, and now he gets 3 smash matchups at home. If you've been rolling with CJ Stroud, just keep it going. And Devin Singletary getting 30 carries for 150 yards and a touchdown was definitely one of the wildest and most surprising lines of the day. All right, moving on to the afternoon slate, the Lions took on the Chargers, and this was basically a fantasy bonanza. If you started almost anybody in this game, you're feeling pretty good right now. And then there was the Giants versus Dallas. Sure, it was mostly great for the Cowboys, but the Giants? I mean, this can't be real life. This isn't a real NFL offense. Tommy DeVito is not a real NFL QB. They don't have real NFL wide receivers. What is this? What is this product the Giants are putting on the field? And the one real NFL player they do have, Saquon Barkley, is stuck in a nightmare. He's doing all he can, but how can he possibly have any upside in this, whatever they're calling this? Just an absolutely brutal situation for one of the game's best players. And honestly, how does it get better? Maybe if Tyrod Taylor comes back from IR, but outside of that, this is about as hopeless as the situation gets. Now, it wasn't all great for the Cowboys despite the huge day on offense. Tony Pollard once again was a bust. Despite getting multiple goal line chances, he just can't find the end zone, and he only had 55 yards and 0 catches. At this point, I think we just have to accept Tony Pollard will be one of this year's biggest busts, sadly. Washington went to Seattle. This game started slow, but ended up actually being a pretty good one. And be honest, did you have Brian Robinson leading the Commanders in receiving in this one? Yeah, me either. In fact, both Robinson and Gibson feasted in this offense, and the wide receivers did very little. But there's no panic here on these wide receivers. It is what it is. Fantasy football can be random like that sometimes. And Geno Smith looked like he would be a pumpkin this week in a smash spot, but he eventually came through. As did Kenneth Walker with a huge touchdown catch. And then finally, the game everybody was looking forward to the most, Atlanta versus Arizona. Welcome back, Kyler Murray. A rushing touchdown, 33 rushing yards. Sure, he didn't have a huge passing day, but you have to feel good if you stashed him. Unfortunately, Marquise Brown was not as good as Murray was. But look, we knew there was going to be risk in this game. Their connection will grow as Murray gets more comfortable in this offense. No panic here just yet. And on the Falcons side, we saw what we wanted to see. Bijan Robinson finally got a workhorse role, and it resulted in 106 yards and a touchdown. And for the 3rd straight week, Arthur Smith lost to a quarterback he had no business losing to. Seeing Bijan Robinson score and Arthur Smith lose, is this fantasy football heaven?